All right, everyone. Welcome to a new series that I'm going to do called Cluster B Watch. And for entertainment purposes only, of course. But what we're going to do is when we look around the YouTube world or the entertainment world, I'm going to look for people that display Cluster B traits. Kind of like the eye of Sauron looking around Middle Earth. Except we're going to be looking around the YouTube universe mostly. And today, Sauron's eye has found Mr. MLD. Now, again, I'm not diagnosing anyone with anything. I'm not diagnosing anyone with narcissistic personality disorder, but we are going to mention narcissistic traits. Anyone can have narcissistic traits, but some of these are on full display here. And we're going to break down a couple of videos. The first one is the one that's breaking the internet right now, and I'm going to tell you how I would have handled this versus how it was handled. So let's jump right in.
Last take.
I don't want a traumatized woman in my life.
So Mr. MLD does not want a traumatized woman, but the issue for him will be how he was talking to the Asian woman here. And apparently he was trolling her in the chat, calling her names. And that's one thing, right, where it's not really a chill thing to do, to be doing that. And he kind of got his hand caught in the cookie jar here a little bit. But let's see how he handles it. Does he own it? Does he deflect? Does he play the victim? Let us find out.
I don't want any history or trauma. I've dealt with those kind of fucking nutbags, and I don't ever want to deal with it ever again. I want to deal with a normal, mentally stable, healthy woman. So,
You think you're normal?
Exactly.
in what sense?
Well, do you think you have healthy habits?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah.
Weren't you the same one who like fat shamed me like last week or so?
I don't know.
You think that's normal from a stranger to fat shame somebody?
I don't remember. Did I call you fat?
Okay.
The old, did I do that? The Stephen Urkel, did I call you fat? Now, here's the thing. He probably knows that he did the right thing to do. Own it. Just own up to it. It's already not a good thing to do anyway, but once you do it, you may as well just own it. And own the role, own the bad guy role at this point. But let's see what he does.
Don't do that. You know where you were in the chat. You knew you were in the chat.
Now, the
Don't.
hostess here, Natalie, I think her name is, she's jumping in for Team Woman, and I don't blame her, I guess, in this case, because, say, on a whatever podcast or Fresh and Fit, the opposite happens all the time. So how can we be upset as guys when the woman host and co-host here, or whatever you want to call Natalie, does the same? We'd be hypocrites to not call it the same way and not be okay with it.
Don't do that on camera.
I don't know.
Don't do that.
Don't do
Don't
what?
do that,
You have a
MLD, because
strange
you
way-
were
So right now he's playing dumb. This is absolutely a narcissistic tactic, and what they're doing is they're trying to deflect and get the attention off of their behavior. Kind of like a kid. A kid who's 8 years old will play dumb. Oh, did I do that? What are you talking about? What cookie are you talking about? But from an adult, doesn't really fly too well.
in the chat with your checkmark name doing that.
What was I
own
saying?
Up, listen, it's okay if you want to do those things,
Yeah.
but own up to what you do.
What was I
I
saying?
mean, women are apparently like CEO of not taking accountability, but I mean, I guess you should change your pronouns because I'd say you're kind of in the same bracket when it comes to that.
So, if he's gonna troll with his little check mark in the chat, I mean, you can't be surprised when people see it and then call you out later.
All right, I'll get right on that.
And that's not masculine energy.
Just
masculine energy
High
owns
value
up
men. Remember, I told you
to
that.
what
Don't
they
call people
say.
horse either.
I'm just saying. I mean, women can't handle criticism. I took that like a champ. That's fine. I'll take that. But I think you yourself as a man should probably work on that instead of saying that I don't want to traumatize women, because it definitely shows that
I don't
you
want
have.
to. I don't want to traumatize women.
We don't want to traumatize man either. That's the thing. So
Okay.
that's why it's easier to go to Japan and find the konnichiwa type of girl, because they're not going to debate with you. That's the problem.
That's right. They're just robotic females.
So, the Asian girl here, she is shaming his choices a little bit. That part is true. But ultimately, she's not getting emotional about it. She's just confronting him. And in any kind of relationship, This is a very mild call out, and let's see how he handles it.
Female slaves in Japan, they have no personalities.
It
They just say
shows.
konnichiwa.
Yeah, sumisane, all that shit that you like. It's evident that you're used to women who don't check you when you're being irrational
Thanks.
and way out of place.
Thanks for the whole synopsis on the 37 years of my
It
life.
shows.
Well,
Well, age really doesn't mean to a lot of people. It shows. Like, you could be, my grandma's 80 years old and still.
Okay.
And I am in a relationship.
Oh, I clicked at the wrong thing. Terrible. So what he did there, though, was he exaggerated. That's what gaslighters do. They exaggerate what they're hearing. And in this case, he exaggerated it to, oh, way to give a synopsis of my whole 37 years, when she's just calling out this one instance. But they'll often gaslight you like that, narcissistic people will, because they want to get you on the defensive, and they want to, it's crazy making is what they call it. And ironically, though, what MLD should have done was not Jade. Like, these women here, they have him on the defensive. And what do I say? Jade, justify, argue, defend, and explain. Do not do that when it comes to narcissistic people. What you can do, own it, own what you say, but do not Jade whatever you do. Or Darvo, right? And he might be trying to Darvo here a little bit too, where he's trying to blow up what they're doing.
Somebody who really looks down on women with the way that, I mean, you even made a whole hit piece on that. I think that's weird.
I didn't make a hit piece on her.
This guy, you should really change your pronouns, because I could see that's not your best trait to actually own up to what you do. And I think that's really disgusting.
Why don't you sit in your masculine energy and maybe just apologize for what you said? I think that that's very masculine. I think that's a great way, because I feel like, number one, in a war, everyone thinks they're right?
Yes.
Now, if MLD were to start listening to this girl in the middle, it'd be kind of like he's jumping through their hoops a little bit. He's already got himself in trouble. At this point, you just gotta say, no, I said what I said, and I'm not sorry. Next. And at that point, once you own it completely, they can't take that from you. But when they smell weakness like this, and they smell him on the defensive a little bit, and getting emotional, that's when you run into problems. Owning something diffuses almost everything. When you own it, you take the power away from the other person, and they can't use it against you anymore when you own it. When you don't own it, it's like blood in the water to the sharks, and they're pouncing. And they're smelling blood in the water right now because MLD's on the defensive. So she started it, the woman on the left. The girl in the middle here, she's going to pounce here a little bit too. And Melina, Destiny's wife, she's enjoying the whole show.
So I think that right now is a great opportunity for you to show that men can be masculine and have feelings, and can also regress and think back about what they said. Maybe in the moment you said it because you got excited or whatever, and you were just in this phase of yours. But I think sitting here in front of her, you're talking about that you want this wife and this submissive person and all of this, but where's your respect towards women?
Yes.
And don't you run like an entire
Now she's right here because, I mean, what kind of dude does say that to a woman about being fat and 40 pounds overweight? It's like, that doesn't work in the real world. It doesn't work outside of the manosphere and the MGTOW space. Like, that's the only place where that stuff really flies. But outside of that, it's just not real life. And anyone who is successful with women, even a lot of people in the red pill space, whether it's Andrew Tate, Justin Waller, Sterling Cooper, or whomever, they know that they would never do that, that it's just bad form. But here MLD is doing that. And so she has a point with this.
male
apologize to her.
empowerment thing. Like, I think that's important that people look up to you. And you know what's funny? I actually subscribed to you prior to you doing that. And I thought that was so out of pocket. And I was like, wow, like people like you, respectfully to anyone that's listening, this is why I stepped out of the red pill space, because you guys are so quick to demonize women in the West. But mind you, all of these girls have been working since we were old enough to work. A lot of us have to retire our families. But instead of people seeing that, you guys demonize women for masculine traits when we're also working just like you. And I mean, I don't expect respect, but like there was no beef and it was so unnecessary. And I think that's accountability that some people should take, but to each their own.
Yes.
Just saying.
What are you upset that I called you fat?
This is upset?
I mean,
This is upset?
Clearly.
Now, that's actually not upset, right? She's right. She's been pretty calm throughout this whole thing. And MLD is the one who's getting a little emotional. and he's trying to gaslight her a little bit some more. This is upset. MLD says clearly. But no, she might be disappointed that that's what he said to her before, but she's been pretty level throughout this whole thing.
This is addressing.
Well,
and I
why
think
don't
that's
you want to
important
own up to
address.
what you said, though? Why
What
are you
was it? What was
denying
it that was said?
And if anything, we're kind of built the same, which is funny, dude. We're like, I mean, come on, man. You can't be
They say now she's saying they have the same body type. A little bit of an ad hominem, a little bit, but
sitting there acting like we're like, oh, and I'm like, dude, honestly, that's so out of pocket in so many ways.
Well, how about this?
Yeah.
This came out of left field, but I don't know. I'm like tuned in right now. Like,
Yeah,
oh, I
but
didn't even know
let
this
him-
was
let him
happening on my
own up-
show. But here we
Let
go.
him own up to what was
Here we go.
said and let him clear
So,
the room.
all
If
good.
he misinterpreted,
Ladies, hold on.
if we didn't
All right.
understand, let him
So
clear the air.
guys, let me just host a show for a second. You're upset because why?
I think that, listen, criticism, sure, but be real and own up to whatever mistake you make. Because again, you are
Okay.
leading whatever
What,
group
what
you
did
are.
I say? What is so upsetting? I don't get it. And why didn't you talk to me?
so MLD still playing dumb a few minutes into this, and none of this would have blown up like this if he didn't play dumb as much. If he would have just owned it in the very beginning, no, own the bad guy role at that point. I still don't endorse saying that to a woman, but own the role, and the whole thing is diffused. Say what you want about Tate, but that was one thing he was really good at, is that he would never get himself in this kind of scenario that MLD is in right now. He would own it, and then he would use charisma and humor so that everyone else would be on his side for the most part too. Even one of his abrasive interviews with the English woman, the first date or whatever it's called, even with that one, they had some sparring, but it wasn't to this kind of sensitivity to criticism emotional level. Like, they had disagreements, but Tate still had that girl laughing and having fun. And that's what you can do when you have a strong frame. You can overcome almost anything. And I thought to myself, how would Tate have handled this? And he probably would have used humor. He wouldn't have acted sensitive to the criticism. But first of all, he probably wouldn't have done some stupid nonsense like that in the chat anyway. So he wouldn't have gotten himself in this kind of situation. But say he did, I think he would have agreed and amplified or done some humor or something to diffuse the situation. And that's what you do when you have a lot of charisma.
Is
You don't
this
know
chick
what
supposed
you
to be
do?
attractive?
Why
You
didn't
do all
you-
this content and you comment all these things, but you don't remember what you do. But you have all the comments to be made.
No, it's okay. I'll just endure this like I should in an abusive relationship.
Okay, so MLD, what do you recall of this?
I'm still waiting for that. Like, I don't get it. What was said that made you so upset?
This is the problem. So if we reverse the roles,
So he's still playing dumb, which is pretty obnoxious at this point.
if a woman addressed this, she's
Sorry,
like, you're
just
being
not
emotional.
gonna answer the question.
There is nothing. I've
Why
said
don't
it like
you
5
answer the
times.
question?
I'm asking the question. Well, why are you so mad?
This is
She's
mad.
already said it.
Because
What do you-
what?
Fine.
What do you
She's
did?
He
already-
said,
Another gaslighting tactic is exaggerating your emotional state. So before he had said, clearly you're emotional. And now he's saying, why are you so mad? And she's not really mad. She's calling him out and holding him accountable. But by his definition, no one can hold anyone accountable without being, quote unquote, so mad. So again, another narcissistic tactic. The Eye of Sauron's going off on this one.
you're saying that he
it.
called you fat and you're addressing
To
it.
just take accountability for it. Like, oh my
Okay.
bad. I was probably
Because
just
he's
slurring
talking
on
about
Hennessy.
women that they have to do X, Y, and Z and all this what they have to do,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't, treat women badly because they have to submit to you. And in Tokyo or whatever, they're so feminine and this and that. But it's here, you come here, and when there's women are making valid points and there are respectable women, you come in the chat and you fat shame, or you go and make pieces about people, or whatever it is that you want to do. At the end of the day, all that's being said is that, listen, if you're going to do those things, own up to it and then make your point about it. If you're going to do these things and you're not going to own up to it, and then what's the point? You're just what? Bullying people?
What's up with like
She made a good point there. I think if you're going to say something out of pocket, you got to at least own it or have some sort of explanation for it later. Now, what could have been going on is MLD might have just been drinking and trolling and letting out his little demon, his little troll demon on the inside of him. That that is a likely scenario of what happened here. But even so, if you're going to do that, and you're going to be a public figure, and you're going to want to blow up on YouTube, you got to handle all of these situations.
There's no integrity in what you stand on. Like nowadays, like you're running a space where men stand on principles and honor, but like you see someone's face and you completely dismiss the fact that that was disgusting. Like disgusting. We're not in a Call of Duty lobby. Like I don't know you. It wasn't like I've said something to you. I said anything to you. I've stepped out of the combative space of the red pill stuff because of guys like you. And you prove my point to it. It's like I don't know you. You don't have to do that, and that's fine. It's fine if I said like you're not my preference. I've never attacked you before.
Right.
But
I'm
again,
still waiting for what made you upset.
it's okay. Right now, we're gonna call you the delusional girl.
All right, how about I just...
And we can just stick to.
So MLD is just, he said, I don't know why you're upset about 7 times now. And it's like, you know what it even would have been better is to say, you know what, I don't want to talk about this right now. Can we go on to the next topic? Anything could have been better than this playing dumb routine.
just leave because this is retarded.
No, I will.
Why would
let's-
you leave?
You're
though?
upset because
Why would you
Wait,
leave?
let's-
You literally are. You're an example.
Can
for
somebody
men.
tell me what I
You're an
said that everybody's so
example for
upset
men
about that I'm
that
still
you
waiting
make
on?
content
what was the
for.
example that just
Okay,
to be clear?
I'll do the 3. Was it 3? Nah, I'm pretty sure it was. Is this chick supposed to be attractive? 1, 2. She's 40 pounds too heavy.
Yep.
XYZ. Something about weight. I wouldn't listen to her. Like you just went on a rant. It was like.
How do you know that that was him though?
Because it was his name with the check mark in the chat.
Do you recall doing that?
I guess so. So
Okay,
you're
so
mad.
now you recall.
You're mad because I
So-
said you're
but you
40
said-
pounds overweight. I'm on every.
So even this here, his I guess so, is not, it's a very weak owning. He's on the defensive, he's backpedaling, and he's trying to use these manipulative tactics to get the attention off of his behavior, whether it's amplifying her emotional state and exaggerating it. You're so mad, clearly you're very emotional, to playing the victim, to playing dumb. All the narcissistic tricks in the narcissistic playbook right here.
chat. I'm in Fresh and Fit. You know how it is when you're a streamer. You're in all these chats. I did like 6 shows in the last 6 days.
So just say sorry.
Rationalization and minimization.
So just own
No,
up to being a
I
piece of
don't-
shit.
No. So I'm not. So first of all, I'm not a piece of shit.
You don't
So
think that's
talk to
piece
me
of
like
shit
that.
behavior?
Okay, don't talk to me like that. All right.
you're
Secondly,
upset.
all right, I said what I said. I do think maybe you were 40 pounds overweight.
Sure.
So what's wrong with that?
We can.
So it took him this long to get to an owning. It's just too little too late at this point. And then even his don't talk to me like that thing, that didn't go over well either when he's talking that way to Melina. Again, I put it back to Tate, back before he kind of fell off there because of his charges. Think back to some of his times on Fresh and Fit. He was able to command the room there, and like no woman would ever even think of speaking to Tate the way they are speaking right now to MLD. But the reason is because MLD has not commanded respect. If you're going to troll and do some silly stuff, like that's not really socially calibrated. You're going to get what you get, and the women are not going to like it. So Melina, I don't think she would call Tate a piece of crap to his face like that. She would have more respect for him because he wouldn't wind up in a situation like this. Now, she might still think it, but she probably wouldn't pounce on him like this because when he shows weakness, people pounce on weakness. They smell blood, and he gave him opportunities here.
Match each other's energy. All I had to say was you need to like own up to your shit because it's weird that you
I
would
just
face
did.
me. Yeah, after like pulling teeth. Are you good?
No, after you talking over me and freaking
This
trauma
was all-
dumping
Did I say
live
that?
on
I
the
don't know what I said.
show.
See what I
So trauma dumping, I mean, she was keeping it real about what she felt and thought, and he's going to exaggerate it to consider it trauma dumping. I mean, kind of ridiculous, honestly. That was not trauma dumping, but it's another exaggeration of the scenario, another exaggeration of the situation and her emotional state, and it's supposed to be crazy making and gaslighting. That's what it is.
You
I don't know
pick
what I
these
said.
words and like you throw them on people. But if I acted the way you act, you would demonize me. If I literally attacked you the way you attacked me, if I said the things that's disrespectful. If another man said the shit that you said to me, oh, that's fighting words. But yet a woman says it to you, oh, she's being dramatic, she's masculine, she's emotional. But
I didn't call you any of those
where's
things.
the vein coming out?
So she's mentioning here, when you match someone's actions and they get upset, that's a major problem. That's a big thing that a lot of narcissistic people do. If you do to them what they do to you, they will lose it. So she's making a valid point here. MLD talks all sort of smack, and then when he starts getting a little bit of smack in return, he goes off the rocker. Another narcissistic trait.
Out of my neck that I'm so triggered right now that, oh, she's mad. I think it's disgusting that you act that way. It's so like unattractive and not manly, but yet you sit here and shame women. Oh, I can't wait to go back to Japan. I just think there again, you're leading a bunch of cows to follow you and you're like, yeah, this is how men should act. That's not how men in my family and in my life act. And it's so unattractive that you think that's normal. So you are part of the problem in the West is what I'm basically saying.
Okay.
So let's try to put a silver lining on this thing. This came out.
Fucking Christ.
So his energy looks like he's been very sensitive to criticism right now. He's getting called out. And like the woman said, he's probably not used to it. He's probably just used to getting his way and getting what he wants. And his behavior is cringe. And there's a lot of people who thought that when he first came into the red pill space. That is, he was just cringe. And there's a lot of people who thought that. And his behavior can be cringe. I think a lot of it with him is he's just putting on this role and this mask. And underneath the mask, though, is some kind of ugly stuff.
How should he have acted, in your opinion?
We walked in the green room. All you had to do was say, hey, no hard feelings. I was just on the little juice a little bit. I was tripping. My bad. I would have been like, all right, bro, like all fair's word. That's fine. I would have dropped it. But
Now, she's right about that, too. If he just owned it and said, you know what, I was busting some chops there and I was drunk and whatever, that's how you diffuse it. But when you play dumb, flip the script, you're so angry, you're so emotional, you're trauma dumping, I don't know what you're talking about, and it's just not a good look.
But the fact that you walk in the room, you don't address it, you sit here, it's like awkward. And I'm like, this is how, again, people like you want women to submit to this garbage nonsense. And you're, well, women are not submissive. Why would I submit to that type of activity? But again, this is showbiz. That's fine.
You're totally entitled to that. I'll give you,
I didn't even know who she is when I was in the waiting room.
So that's the whole point.
Oh my God. You are.
So now he's playing dumb more and more and more, and it's just not a good look.
For the camera, my friend. You are something else. You don't know who she was when you were in the chat?
No.
No.
In the
it's
camera,
fine.
in the back room?
No, it's okay.
all right, well, how about this?
Oh my God.
Was there anything you would like to
just
take
exposed
back or
yourself. Good job.
apologize? Whatever you want.
So, a couple things now. What do we know about narcissist children? That admitting they are wrong is like poison in their mouth, and you will not hear them apologize and specifically say what they have done wrong almost ever. You might hear, and I'm sorry, that wasn't my intention, or I'm sorry you feel that way, but what you'll see with narcissistic people is you will never get a specific apology for a specific behavior. It will always be a general thing. Oh, I'm sorry for everything, but never a specific. And it's always some sort of deflection, or it will be, I'm sorry, but, and then a flipping of the script. And I'm sorry, but, and then gaslighting. And admitting you're wrong is a good trait to have. Admittedly, I can be sensitive to criticism sometimes. I can feel that jolt. But the difference is, when you have some emotional maturity, you learn how to take a step back and respond rather than react. But his pain body, in the words of, what's-his-face, from The Power of Now. Anyone know his name out there? I can't remember. But the guy who wrote The Power of Now would say, this is all his pain body. And this little criticism here is touching on his pain body. And it's not going too well for him.
No, not after
Okay.
being treated like that. Absolutely not. I'm not gonna be talked down to by like some child that has no
Talk down to, well, let's continue.
decency to communicate with me in a respectful manner.
So she was communicating with him in a very respectful manner, but he went for another ad hominem, and that he said she was talking down to him. Now, narcissistic people, they often see things hierarchically, so they'll think things of better or worse. Everyone is better than or worse than them. And just the fact that she's holding him accountable makes it feel like to him that she's talking down to him. Now, she might have a little contempt for him, and perhaps rightfully so, for he called her fat, 40 pounds overweight. I mean, I don't think anyone would really like that very much. But she's been pretty chill about calling him out here, but he's kind of blowing it up and using all of these manipulative tactics to just avoid accountability, to not own it, and to get the attention off of his behavior.
Starts with you. What
Okay.
man leads a relationship like that? You don't even
She's
know how
not
to lead
talking
a
down,
general
though.
All right,
space.
you guys are better than me. You win. Cool. Next question, please.
Amazing.
Anyway,
She's not talking down to you.
Dismissive. So dismissive anything than to take accountability and just own the situation. So that's like a placating too. Placating to get the conversation over. And look at her there. She's like, what have I walked into? She's a tattoo artist in Miami.
She's
You guys good?
She's confronting
Amazing.
herself.
You guys good? All right. I had like 3 more topics to get to, but I'm sitting in the middle of this like, holy shit. Anyway, I hope you guys, at least after the show, can hug it out. I don't know if that's possible.
I got a
Maybe
hard out
mud
at 6. I
wrestle.
told you.
No hugging it up, Adam. No, not quite.
Yeah, we got to get going. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this last segment. This came out of nowhere. This is live TV, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't expect that happening. But I hope you guys genuinely can figure this out after the show. No hard feelings. I understand where you're at. Natalia,
Yeah.
final super chats. Let's get some winners,
You
and
wanna
we'll go to
read
the
them?
happy ending, and we got to wrap up for today.
Okay, so I will go through. Let's see where to start. I'll start with the one on my screen right here. Being Cheeks, I never subbed to Angela or MLD, but Angela got my vote for the rose. Typical red pill guys never take accountability for the same way OnlyFans girls in their future. Then we have this one. Being Cheeks, have more enthusiasm reading the chat. I will. Then we have Full Weed Todd. Divorce is actually worse than average men. They end up lying in their cars and sitting on earth for men at 40, self-destruction. Sorry, it was a little blurry when I took a picture. Then we have Redo.
Hold on,
Destiny.
guys. As we're doing this, production team, real quick. I know we're wrapping up. MLD literally has to go. He's not walking off. No. He said at 6 o'clock he needed to a hard out at 6 o'clock right now. MLD, final.
So he might not be walking out, but it is bad timing for this, where they could have, came to some sort of agreement or arrangement, but he just wasn't having it. And he was just backpedaling on the defensive, trying to get back on the offensive by exaggerating her emotional states, playing the victim, calling her a child, and telling her that she's trauma dumping, but it just didn't look good.
Words before you run off. I don't want to go out like this. Anything you would like to say before you do?
I got nothing to say. I'm out.
See? My point.
All right, brother.
I'll text you. Thank you. Sorry.
Of course, bro. Joey, let's make sure he gets out safely.
Oh shit.
Wow. Anyway,
And we're the ones that get
He's
our
not having a
period.
good
guys,
week. Right,
I'm
I'm
just
saying.
listen, for the record, just so everyone's on the same page here. Me and MLD are cool. We've got 0 issues. He's always been super respectful.
No, he
But at the
has
same
been.
time, you and I are also very cool. We've also been very.
All right. So that's the end of that there. That was pretty painful to watch, honestly. And you saw a lot of narcissistic tactics. Again, I'm not diagnosing anyone with NPD. Only a trained professional can do that. But what I can do is I can point out narcissistic traits. And here's the thing about narcissistic traits. They are not just narcissists that do narcissistic traits. People that with CPTSD can do them. People on the spectrum can do them. People who are emotionally immature can do them. People who are very selfish can do them. Narcissistic people do not have a monopoly on toxic traits. I want to emphasize that. But I'm going to have this series here where we're going to go over. When I see people acting in a cluster B narcissistic way, I'm going to address it. And hopefully, though, it's with the intention of creating some awareness of some of these traits in action. I think it's like a puzzle, honestly. And I think I want to consider myself like the Dr. House of psychological conversation breakdowns, like a diagnostician of a psychological breakdown, I think it's pretty cool. And I enjoy breaking down these convos and the dynamics involved. So there's another clip of him where Abbott and Preach, they go over some of it too. And I might go over that in another video. But I think that's good enough here for now. So if you got this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I come up with more videos. And leave some comments below. Do you agree with how MLD handled that? Do you think my assessment of the situation was accurate? Please let me know. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.